Moritz in Switzerland, one of the most glamorous locations on the planet and a winter sports hub. It is the home of ice sliding. For over 125 years, the world's biggest ice sculpture has been built down the valley to Celerina for racing, bobsleigh and skeleton. Hello everybody, I'm Martin Haven, alongside me John Morgan, rubbing our hands with glee at the prospect of the blue ribboned event, the four-man bobsled at John Morgan, where we are the heart of winter sliding.
It's a privilege to be here as an athlete, a former athlete and a broadcaster, let me tell you. And this track it's everything. It's what Indianapolis is to auto racing. It's what Monte Carlo is to Formula One, what Wimbledon is to tennis. And they've been doing it on this track for over 100 years. Almost the same curve as they drop out of curve one. Very flat here, and you got to be perfect. Four-man bobsled, you have to get in, get down, slow speeds on the wall. The big, long wall, it's got like a double kink to it. It bends a little bit around here too. Very difficult for the driver to be very quiet steering. Now into the snake curve, two-quarter combination, quick right, then a left, and that sets up into Sunny. Sunny is where you start to feel the G's. You exit into Nash and Dixon, named after the '64 Olympic game gold medalist from Britain. And now into the most famous curve in the world, Horseshoe. And boy, will we have some pictures out of that place today. Telephone. Look at the names on these curves. These names were given to these curves over 120 years ago. Devil's Dyke, Nameless, Bridge Corner. It is just unbelievable, the tradition on this track and the speeds. Gunter Sachs down here, the sleds will reach close to 90 miles an hour today into Portago, the Martineau curve, named after the original founder of the St. Moritz Bobsled Club in the 20s. What a tradition, what a privilege it is to be in this position.
It is a real joy, and it is winter sport in real winter. Maximilian Arndt is our World Cup points leader from Russia's Alexander Zubkov. Stephen Holcomb lying in third place after 3 straight wins in North America. The wheels came off the wagon a little bit in the four-man the last couple of races, but the Olympic champion and defending four-man world champion are both here, Holcomb and Arndt, and it could be a titanic battle in the four-man. Well, the weather is great, sunny and clear, and the ice -1, -2 degrees. It's been very fast again this morning, so we look forward to those 80 mile an hour, 90 mile an hour speeds down at the bottom of this track. And of course, the start list features the world champion going off first. John Jackson of Great Britain second. Alexander Kasyanov for Russia will be third. Stephen Holcomb, the Olympic champion, goes off sixth. And we have 21 sleds in the field. Only the fastest 20 go through into Heat 2, so there is pressure on immediately to make the cut, make that second run, and you want to get as many slides down this wonderful facility as possible. And a historic open area, crowded with spectators by the Gunter Sachs Lodge. And John Morgan, this place just gives you prickles on the back of your neck, even watching it.
The athletes have the same attitude here. This is the premier event on the premier venue, and we're starting off with the world champion from Germany.
Max Arndt won the four-man world championship gold medal in February on this track last year with this crew. Marco Hubenbecker, Alex Rödinger, and Martin Putzer. Four-man mountains. And Max Arndt with some silky driving skills. Let's see if he can repeat that performance today.
Four-man bobsled start. You have to push, but you have to get in, get down before this first curve. It's very tricky. Look at the speed on the left. Track record, 5:11. That doesn't surprise us. Look at the speed, 51.5. That's going to be the telltale sign if the four athletes got in the sled cleanly around that first curve. Big challenge for these four-man crews.
Max Arndt, just 26 years old. Already one of Germany's most veteran bobsledders currently racing.
He has got a strategy in the first run. He did the World Championships last year of taking a very high line in Horseshoe. Let's see if he does it again. There it is. Patented high line that gave him the opportunity to win a World Championship last year at 24 years old. A little tap there before the Devil's Dyke turn. A lot of problems yesterday in the entrance to Devil's Dyke.
Already doing 70 miles an hour there and still accelerating really hard downhill. This is a gravity sport, but look at the speed, 145.6, 90 miles an hour. Okay, it's not Indy, but they're doing it on sheet ice without any brakes.
Wow.
1:05.08, that's stunning speed from Max Arndt.
Okay, he just posted speeds and times, and just to let everybody else know at the top of the track, hey, come and catch me, because that, usually the first guy down is a disadvantage. We're going to find out. But choreography on ice. Here it is. Look at the feet coming down at the exact same time. Now watch the driver. Almost a gymnastics type effort to get in and get down, get a hold of the D-rings. This is just repeated so often in the summertime. Now here this is not repeated. This is Max Arndt trying to get his position into horseshoe. He's getting over to the right side. This way he can get his patented high, get in where he wants, get to the peak of the curve where he wants, and dive out of the horseshoe. Whether or not that's the best run, we're going to find out.
Next up, John Jackson of Great Britain. Second start draw, big advantage perhaps here. Stu Benson, Bruce Tasker, Joel Fearon back on the sled. They're keeping the brakemen fresh, just moving the bodies around week in, week out as Jacko recovers his fitness after tearing his Achilles in the summer.
So knowing what Arndt just got 5'11", these guys should be 15 or so, 16. They've done really well with Jacko being injured.
Oh,
5'09".
wow!
Wow!
Well,
wow, for they got 3.5 guys pushing the sled, not 4. The guy ripped his Achilles in July. Can't believe he's even competing. And to say that start time they did with 3.5 people, boy, hats off to that team.
well, they were among the top 2 or 3 starters at the end of last season everywhere, and of course, with Jackson still not quite strong, that speed has gone away. Let's see what they've got here.
They had the same speed, start speed, which is not good. They're 100th better at the start, but they were the equal speed, meaning they might not have had a greatest of entry in the sled at curve 1.
Not great speed, 1:10.4 from Max Arndt there, 1:08.9 from the British sled.
Yeah, he could still hold on, stop the bleeding down here, and try and get to 145-kilometer speed. This will be a good run for Jackson if he can do it.
1:45.2, that's
It's
very
not
good.
bad.
90.3 miles an hour, and John Jackson comes in 3
3/10
tenths
down.
behind.
Lost a lot more time on the bottom. That difference of 4/10 of a kilometer on the bottom part of the track was equal to almost 10 or 12 hundredths in the finish time for Team John Jackson. Great start, though. Wow. Look at the low line Jackson takes. Look at the rudder tips now. Big 4-man sled. Look at the rudder tips. It's time to get off this wall. Look at the
Straightens
heads.
up.
Look at the aerodynamic profile of the British sled. Well tested in wind tunnels. Look at the crossover into telephone. Wow, pictures are incredible.
Not a bad looking run from John Jackson of Great Britain. Let's see what everybody else produces. 2 of our 21 sleds down. Lots of noise at the start from the Russian women, from their skeleton and bobsleigh athletes. And now Alexander Kazyanov of Russia, with Filip Egorov, Max Belugin and Alexei Pushkarev. Top 10 in the World Cup rankings go into a random draw. So Russia 2 ends up going ahead of Russia 1. But John, that's just the luck of the way they're pulled out of the hat.
Kazyanov, more proficient at 4-man. See him get down, the speed. Down the left, that's a good start. Speed left 51.5, 51.4. So they had a lesser, same speed as Max Arndt, but they had lesser speed than Arndt. So that's all the power step getting in the sled. Kazyanov, though, has had some very good times in the first run of 4-man bobsled competitions. In fact, he was tied with Arndt and Holcomb at the Park City event after 1 run.
Ended up with a bronze medal there. That's his best result of the season.
The line, almost like Arndt.
See the speed.
He's
We're
only
looking,
100th off.
looking for 1:10,
Whoa.
1:09.2, quicker than the Brits, but slower than Max Arndt. And so that 100th will become a 10th, maybe 2 tenths by the
Rough
bottom.
there. That was a rough exit there.
Already a 10th back. This could be 3 tenths. He
bang
might
there.
be in trouble trying to shade the Brits, and he taps all the way down the straight.
No
1:44. He could drop behind Great Britain at this stage. Is he going to be second or third?
30
Tied to the
tied,
100th of a second after a mile-long race down the ice. That's insanely close.
Well, you're seeing now is how good Max Arndt was. But Kasanoff beats John Jackson on a regular basis. So I think that tells you that Kasanoff did not have a good run. Still look at the runner tips there.
Dear.
Boy, that's no for a 4-man at 80 miles an hour in that part of the track. Bridge now into the speed part out of Gunter Sachs. He taps again, and he had the lesser speed of 3 sleds, and his finish time reflected it.
Well, John, when you're pinballing between ice walls at 80 miles an hour, you can imagine the detrimental effect on the speed of your sled, can't you? Lyndon Rush of Canada, standout day in the 2-man, his best race of the season so far. Yesterday, now with Neville Wright, Dave Bissett and Lascelles Brown behind him. Let's see if Lyndon can find his mojo again in the 4-man.
Oh, push bar, 4-man push bar. The push bar's not in yet.
He won't know because
that's a bad aerodynamic.
He's clicked the lever and the bar has dropped.
He should get his hand. I don't even know if he knows it's out.
No,
I bet he does not see it. So maybe the G-force down here in one of these curves will get it in, but that's a deficiency all the way down the track. Looks like it's in now. Looks like one of the first curves with any pressure. No, it looks like it's still out.
It hasn't clicked all the way back in. Something's got stuck.
And that is an aerodynamic drag all the way down the track.
Oh, only 400s away at the start. Let's see what he can produce here.
He's considerably off the pace. 109.6.
One top 6 finish this year so far for Lyndon Rush in the 4-man.
2300s back, and again, high speed when you got that thing sticking out on the side. Doesn't sound like much. Ooh, there's a little skid there like Kasanoff.
Well, every 100th counts, doesn't it? We've just seen 2 sleds tied to the 100th, and that can make the difference between winning a position and losing one. And he comes in a 100th of a second behind Jackson and Kazyanov, and that bar certainly cost at least 100.
I wonder if they'll notice at the bottom. Looks
now
like the bar back in, but the coaches up top, of course, just watched the run. Tom Delahunty, and I'm sure down here the women's bobsledders who are helping him out will tell him the same thing. But watch him get in. I mean, the proficiency here. These guys are a very good push team. Rush had a great day yesterday, probably the best day of the season for him. Just didn't come down. And it's not cold. Usually when it's cold, that stuff doesn't work. But a little technical mishap for the Canadians definitely cost them, I would say, at least 1/10 of a second.
Well, the Eurotech team have got their truck and their mechanics here, so that will be fixed and fully functioning for the second heat. Well, Lyndon Rush lost his lead Canadian spot this season, realistically, to Chris Spring, his teammate, born in Darwin, Australia, formerly slid for the Aussies. Now the standout for Canada with Jesse Lumsden, Cody Sorensen and Ben Coquell, the Man Mountains behind him.
Again, 4 huge men. Get in, get down. Into this small little bathtub, get around, get set before that first curve. Post time, wow, take a bite of that, whoa. And the speed, 51.6. The speed is not that good though. To have that much of an advantage and only be 1/10 of a kilometer better than Max Arndt, I think the Germans had a better trick of getting in that sledded down, because they had, for that speed, these guys should have had 7 or 8, 51.7 or 8.
Well, these Canadians got in well, but Arndt's crew make it look like they're half the size, or the bobsleighs twice as wide. They just drop in like feathers.
Yeah. Speed on the exit here for Chris Spring. He could set up.
Good
Make
exit.
a good pointer. Yeah, he lost a lot already.
109.1. Max Arndt was 110. But Spring has been driving up a storm. Think 2 seasons ago at Altenburg, he and his 4-man crew were all in hospital and intensive care after a horrendous crash. 2 years later, running into the Olympics, he's the best Canadian driver.
Good speed. This will be a second-place run. Ooh, a little tap there in the uphill section.
But he gets it in across the line. 105.31. Chris Spring, another top draw effort from the Springer.
Yeah, not good up top of the track. I believe that start, even though they had the best start by 500ths over Arndt, their entry into the sled cost them a little bit. A little driving error up top, but he maintained well. It'll be 1600ths out of the horseshoe, and it'll be only 23 at the bottom. Good job on the bottom part of the track, but here, Let's see how quickly they get in and get down. Let's try and get a point, because we're going to be doing this with other sleds. To get in, get down, and look at the sign on the right or left. What can we use? Look, see now they're out of the drive lines there, and they're still sitting down before that first curve. I think you got to be in before the first curve.
Everybody running it down to that first kink, and you'll see the same from the night train too. Stephen Holcomb with Kurt Tomasevich, Stephen Langton, and Chris Vogt on the sled. Vogt pushed him in the two-man race, and Holcomb trying to recover a little bit of his four-man form from the early part of the season.
This crew has a reputation of getting in quick, one step less. Let's see if they get in, get down, how quickly they are. They're settled.
Tomasevich's eyes.
5:07 speed, 51.5 or 6 after 51.5. Again, not as good as the Germans. It was a better start than the Germans, but Germans had a better velocity. I don't know, it's because they were the first ones off or more proficient. But Holcomb's got to chase down not only Spring, with a little skid there, he's got to chase down not only Arndt, but Spring.
Yep. And we got Florschutz, we got Francesco Frugic, Alexander Zubkov still to come, Justin Krips, Bert Hefty, Zakharov the Russian. Then we got the two electrifying Latvian starting teams.
7, that's late there though. 109.6, this is good speed. Now, last year, Holcomb in the World Championships came from 6th place to 3rd in the final run with the best time. That was with the other night train sled. But this sled, these night trains usually fly in the bottom part of this track, as all Bodines and the new BMW sleds. Speed, 145.6.
Second place, 145.6.
He's flying.
He's going to be in second at the line, Stephen Holcomb.
Whoa.
He is.
Boy, did he maintain on the bottom part of the track.
Yeah.
He was 7, 8, 10 hundredths behind at the horseshoe and did not bleed too much more time down below.
Well, when he gets that night train into top gear, it really flies. Bodine sled is just electrifying.
Look at the runner tips. Look at him settle in there. Look at the bodies behind him. Look at the lines, high-speed part of the track, 145.6, same speed as Arndt. Look at Holcomb. This is unbelievable to see these sleds reaching 90 miles an hour. Wow. Sport.
It's not even close, it's there.
There's our Olympic champion. He's in second place. Max Arndt is the race leader from Chris Spring, John Jackson, and the tight group behind.
Okay.
Thomas Florschutz of Germany, 7th of our 21 sleds in the first of 2 heats here, with Joshua Bloom joining Kevin Kuska and Christian Poser. The Germans again cycling brakemen around to keep them healthy.
Push bar, still out, watch out, it could hit the sign here.
And the brakemen with their head tucked down between their knees won't know.
It's coming. It's almost like an electric release.
He's released it, yes, a soft touch like a car, but he's released it, and like Lyndon Rush's push bar, it didn't
big
take
mistake there.
Big skids.
Boy, Thomas Florschutz continues to struggle. Missed a medal in two-man last week in Winterberg. Was sort of out of the mix yesterday in two-man here. And he's struggling to chase down his German teammates who are 23 and 25-year-old superstars.
2 bronze medals this season, his best results.
He's got it pointed well for that mistake up top. He's got decent speed. He's only 1,200 out of 16. If he holds it here, this could be a top 3, maybe a top 2 if he finds the big speed on the bottom. Florschutz, after the mistake out of the wall curve.
Fastest, 145.8, quickest speed we've seen so far. Will
Could
he
be
get
second.
into the top 3? He does, 3rd place.
Yeah.
100th behind Stephen Holcomb.
Jawohl, considering what he did, he had the worst lines in the Exeter wall into Sunny of any sled so far.
Without those skids, John, he could have led.
And he had a start time, the 4th best start, 400s down to Holcomb, same as his teammate Arndt, and to be only 100th out of 2nd. Here's the mistake up top, Exeter wall, can't do this. Look at, he comes trying to get over in the take-on, the skid. Boy, it didn't cost him that much. Look at the sled, the transition right to left.
But he's only 1600ths off the lead. He could have been the fastest without those errors. Alexander Zubkov of Russia, Alexei Negodalo, Dmitry Chenenkov, and Alexei Voyevoda on a 4-man for the first time this season.
Every sled comes to the line is Olympic champion, world champion. It's Olympic medalist. I mean, the competitiveness in 4-man bobsledding in this sport now is like never before. And this guy, He's just two-man, four-man. He just is always around the podium.
But you know what? Despite the pressure of Sochi and all the expectation, he looks at the moment.
Look at that, 51.6. That's the best start speed. Ties the best start speed with Max Arndt. Did not have the best start time, but I think this could be a statement run right here. I think it's time for Mr. Zubkov to start telling everybody, I'm talked about as being the Olympic champion. It's time for me to put myself in the mindset of being the Olympic champion by winning some races before we get to Sochi.
He's quite happy for Steve Holcomb to win and Canada and America at the beginning of the season. He only wants to win one race.
Look at this speed. He blows everybody away. 2 kilometers. This is it, Mr. Zubkov.
Little rocky at the bottom.
Big statement here.
146 kilometers an hour, maybe higher.
His coming out heat of the year in four-man doesn't matter.
145.9, fastest we've seen.
Wow, big time track record. Wow. Wow. There it is. Mr. Zubkov just said to everybody, I might have been seconds and thirds and fourths, but it's now time to make a statement. We're only a month away from the Olympic competition.
Listen, never mind this season, the last 4 years for him, the last 5 or 6 years for him have only been about one race, and that's in Russia. The rest, it's training.
This was superior in every part of this run. I watched the runner tips. Boy, you almost can't see the runner tips in this sled. Look at the speed, though.
111.1 is
so much
speed.
better. Those guys are tucked in there like sardines in a can. Look, now you can see the runner tips coming off. Everything, start speed.
Look at him. Does he look like a man under pressure? Not much. Francesco Friedrich, Yanis Becker, Gregor Birnbach, and Torsten Margis are the crew.
Look at those push bars. Real new technology the Germans are bringing out here.
Yeah, it doesn't work. He has to pull it in by hand.
51.5, middle of the pack speed. That's not good there for the young. Oh, real bad mistake up on the wall. First sled we've seen get into a skid. It's hard to get these four-man sleds into a skid up there, but when you do, costly like him right there.
I wonder if he's gone for a bit of an aggressive runner setup, expecting the track to be harder and faster later in the second heat. And a big skid there as he taps the wall out of Dixon.
Serious control issues. This is not what you want.
108, that's the slowest we've seen.
Well, he's the first guy to go sideways and wall. First guy to go sideways, he almost tipped it over there. That was close.
They'll feel that in the back seats, won't they?
He's got no control. He's had problems right out of curve 1, all the way down the track. So obviously his setup, they should reconsider what they did for him today, because this didn't work.
The junior four-man champion looks like he's gone for speed over control, but there was not enough control to handle the speed.
Yeah, he was second last week in the World Cup in Winterberg in four-man. He didn't have any control problems there, but on this day, back to the drawing board on that run. They're going to be looking at footage of that. There's Matthias Hoffner right in.
2 silver medals in the 2 Winterberg races last weekend, and as you say, he's only 9th at the moment and destined to slide further down.
Horseshoe, look at this into horseshoe. Hard to do that. It looks like a two-man. Look at him trying to control it with the runners. All you do is erase time. The slingshot of part of the track that you need. He's low with a line there. Look, he's looking.
Justin Cripps of Canada, another former brakeman turned driver. In his first 4 years, he has come from raw rookie into the Canadian World Cup squad. Tim Randall, James McNaughton and Brian Barnett. Tim Randall, one of Chris Spring's original crew that had that horrendous accident back in Altenburg. I'm glad to say, like Gwen Runholm and the rest, are all fully recovered now. And this is the sled full of beards.
This is also a sled full of athletes, I can tell you that.
It is.
This is a combination Singer and Eurotech sled. 500 good speed on the left. 51.4, that's below the margin. 51.6 is the best. 51.5, acceptable. 51.4 puts you a little bit behind. He has the 6th best start of the 10 sleds so far, and he's a young Canadian pilot who 4 years ago was in the back seat. Now he's in the front seat and has made tremendous strides.
Just 300ths of a second away from the leader at the start. Drifted out to 1300ths at Sunny. Needs a good horseshoe. Gets great
Really
height.
high.
Drills the exit. That's really nice. 109.1.
Not the speed of the best sleds.
Could be top half dozen at the bottom, though. Oh, a little wild as he comes off Devil's Dyke. It's caused so many problems this week. Very different feel to it. It's got like a double pressure and a bump at the beginning. Taps the wall running down there. 144.7 in the top 10 at the bottom. Taps the wall again between Martineau and Portago and stays in 9th.
He beats Friedrich, but Friedrich had a horrendous run. And, you know, he's a top 10 pilot in World Cup standings. You know, the Canadians have 3 sleds in the top 10, and he's drew number 10 start, which might not have been an advantage. And
threatens the woodwork.
I said whisker.
Does he touch it? I think it was a whisker.
I said whisker yesterday, and
there's plenty of whiskers.
Look at the rudder tips there, though. Look at the rudder tips.
Steering it hard
Time
off.
to dive out of here. Let's get out of here, guys, and he did.
Comes in 100th behind Lyndon Rush, the most experienced of our Canadian drivers. Alexander Zubkov, the race leader, from Max Arndt and Stephen Holcomb, champions, a go-go at the top of the pile. 10 sleds down here in St. Moritz. There's the Horseshoe Bar, one of the greatest sports viewing facilities in any winter sport. 21 sleds in the field. This is sled number 11, Nikita Zakharov, the 3rd of our Russians, and the 5th different Russian driver we've seen in World Cup action this year. Zakharov with Ilva Hutzin, Peter Masayev, a real veteran, and Maxim Makrusov, another very strong Russian athlete on the brakes.
This guy was hanging out at the Europa Cup down at Eagles.
Another Fowler sled. The Austrian-built sleds are always very, very quick here in St. Moritz.
11th best start. Speed, the worst speed we've seen of all sleds so far. But, you know, look at the black visor. Athletes sit behind him, very well positioned aerodynamically. And Zakharov has been improving every single race. He is the top 3 nations in World Cup points in each discipline, advanced 3 sleds to the competition, and he last week bumped the Americans from that top 3 position. And all he's got to do is finish, because there's only 2 American sleds in the field this week because Corey Butner crashed. So the Americans will only have 2 4-man sleds at the Olympic Games. Zakharov really came out of nowhere. Oh!
All he's got to do is finish. And again, Devil's Dyke nearly did for him.
Yeah, Devil's Dyke he got lazy on, but after Devil's Dyke is where the tree, the nameless curve, where it was almost lights out.
Well, it all adds up there. You're doing 80 miles an hour, and if you get one corner wrong in that sequence, they get wronger and wronger.
Yeah, he was late at one curve, and he was still late 150 yards later down the track, and his team, I have not seen a 4-man sled, and I think where he tipped over right there is exactly where Corey Butner, the American, tipped over in practice. Also, Gregor Baumann from Switzerland. So here it is. This is out of the
off Devil's Dyke.
And he's late, coming to the wrong side of the curve, wrong side of the straightaway. Now he's late here. Look at this. Now he goes late into the next curve, and now he's got to go up. Centrifugal force brings him back up, and not the way you want to be looking at the next curve right there. Wow.
That was luck, not judgment. They dodged a bullet on that one.
Yeah, so I talked about he needed to get to the bottom. Ooh, it was almost didn't get there.
Job done. Bert Hefty of Switzerland won the 2-man race yesterday. Momentous day for him. His last race in St. Moritz and his first ever gold medal in bobsled. Now, let's see if he can repeat in 4-man.
Good start, speed. Not the speed that the top sleds have, 51.4. Hefty was so elated. He had never won, like Martin said, a gold medal on his home track with Martin Hannon as a brakeman, with Ivo Rug.
Silvers, bronzes, he wasn't on Evo's winning 4-man crew.
And here he is, coming off of 2 consecutive gold medals in 2-man bobsled. 4-man's not his specialty, and he just hasn't acclimated from the sports car to the truck.
Good speed though, 110.4. If he's going to produce,
that's late again. There. A lot of steering right there, but this isn't too bad. This is decent.
Oh, little rocky into Sachs. He's got to avoid the rub with the wall. 145 kilometers an hour. Is he going to be in third place in front of Stephen Holcomb? Get too close to the line. No, fourth place. Tied with Thomas Florschutz.
100th out of third, though. And you could just see he's not as comfortable in the four-man bobsled as he is in the two-man bobsled. And he'll take fourth right there. He knows that was not a perfect ride.
The battle for bronze, 3 sleds covered by 100th of a second. And
here's that same mistake on the wrong side. Yep. Should be in the left side of our screen. Going into this curve, comes in late, so he's got to steer off. Well, that means he's still late into the next curve. And the next curve, you know, he got off there. Zakharov let the sled ride there. Yeah. You know, he steered very hard there.
There's no time to react there, is it? You're going so fast, it just takes you. Edwin van Kalker with Bror van der Zijde, Yannick Greiner and Arno Klassen on the sled. Meltdown in the Dutch team yesterday. A horrendous two-man race saw them not make the cut for the second heat. They have got to do something. This Dutch federation is in total disarray.
A lot of media covering the progress of this athlete here. And this athlete here is the first person to admit, I'm in a slump, I have to get better. 51.1, not the worst start speed, second worst, but he is a great pilot in his day. You don't understand why he could just, yesterday the exit of Horseshoe and the two-man, he did something that I don't think nobody else did, almost crashed. But you just go, why? How can he do that?
Well, John, you know, the greatest athletes have a slump. A golfer who loses his swing, who has the yips, it's well known, and that's where he is now. And something has got to click. One good result will bring him out of it.
Yeah, he was late. He was early coming over on the crossover, hit the take-on and telephone on the exit of Horseshoe. That cost him a lot of time.
Oh, and he's late everywhere. It's just, he hasn't got the rhythm. He hasn't got the timing.
Still has some decent speed, though. This is a better run. Ooh, not there. 7,100 out.
143.8.
He could still do 10th if he has some speed. No, he didn't have the speed. 12th.
12th place. He's at the tail of the field, tied with Francesco Friedrich. He will get a second run, because if you have a tie at the back of the field for 20th place, then both teams will go in.
Yeah, but he's tied with Friedrich. Friedrich had a horrendous run.
But both of them can't be pushed out because there's only 21 sleds, so he will guarantee a second heat.
Yeah. Right here, look, it's the first person we've seen hit the take-on of telephone. You need to cross over there and hit the take-on perfectly. He did. Look at the back end of the sled come up in the air.
That's 700 kilos in the air.
And there's a good chance that happens again. You can roll the whole sled into the curve. We've seen that a lot.
Yep.
We haven't seen it yet. I hope we don't see it, but
there might be a bit of a smile there from him, which would be good because he needs to find that feeling. Now, what about the start record? What are we looking at? It's 5:05. Chris Spring and his team set it for Canada. We've now got the 2 fastest starting teams on the block, Latvia 1 and Latvia 2. Oskars Melbardis, Damas Jayskins, Askisvel Santa, and Yanis Strenger go first.
Oh, slip
from
by Oskar Melbardis.
He's in early too.
They're not down around that first curve.
Oh my Lord.
5:02.
Well, just as well he slipped.
51.8. Great entry speed, even with that slip.
Just as well he slipped, or they'd have been quick.
The 4 biggest men in a little bathtub to launch themselves down, and you know, he's still learning now. Just don't forget that he won the Olympic test in Sochi last year in 4-man bobsled.
Vancouver, he was a brakeman for Yanis Minis, and he's going to go to Sochi as one of the dark horses for an Olympic gold medal.
1:10.5 is good
speed.
This looks like a top 3 run, easy unless he just finds a way to take it down here.
300's back. Whoa. He's in second place to Alexander Zubkov at the moment.
The Latvians have always done well on this track in 4-man bobs. He's got it. Speed.
Second place.
Track
Is he
record.
Threaten for the lead. Will he take it at the line? He leads the race.
Wow.
He leads the race. Sandis Prusis absolutely thrilled with that. Start record, finish record, lead the race.
I also see him going down. He starts in the 14th position. The later you go here in St. Moritz, the advantage you have, but he's still start record, track record, drove well.
Loves it.
The first of two. There's the slip, too. I mean, he's 245, 50 pounds, and I'm sure he damages the ice when he runs across it like he just did there. But look at the lines here. Look, these are huge men behind him. A lot of bouncing around in there. But speed, he caught him on the bottom part of the track.
Melbardis, great speed, great run. His best result of the year so far, 4th place in Park City. He leads here in St. Moritz, but the man who beat him in the Battle of the Latvians yesterday in the 2-man comes next, Oskars Viessmann. Another year, less experience even than Melbardis. Viessmann, just 20 years old.
Just blows me away.
And he's got 20 years less driving experience than most of the men in the top 10.
He had an unbelievable start record yesterday, the 2-man. Indian down quick.
Little bumpy, 5:12.
That's okay. The number 3 guy on the sled, Edgars Urens, is a brand new guy. He's a decathlete that they recruited. He marched in the London Olympic Parade, and he said his goal is to also march in the Sochi Winter Olympics. He's a decathlete.
Within 2 years, what a career he's having.
Yeah, I think this is his first World Cup.
Yes.
Came for the headshot, and but they just keep bringing the best athletes. I go, why? He goes, well, bobsledding is such a big sport in Latvia, so they're bringing in the track and field athletes, the farmers who throw bales of hay around, huge men.
109.8, that's decent speed as well, but it's a little bit of a wilder ride from the younger Latvian driver.
That's real late. He's showing some inexperience here. Melbardis has a lot more experience in the 2 more years of driving than this Oskars does. 144.2. That's okay. Chalk this up to experience.
12th place finish at the line would be a good result from him. Ahead of Nikita Zakharov of Russia, ahead of Francesco Friedrich, the junior 4-man world champion, and ahead of Edwin van Kalker of the Netherlands.
Kebermans just does not have the experience that his teammate Melbardis has. And of course, he had the start time. He had the 12th best start time. His teammates had the 1st best start time, and 10 hundredths better, 30 hundredths better. He'd be in the mix for a medal. But these are not very good drive lines. Look at this, and the exit of telephone, the back end of the sled comes up in the air. And that's, the difference between good and bad. Look how high he got there. And that's in before Devil's Dyke. That's out of Shamrock Curve.
Give him 4 years of driving and going into Pyeongchang 2018. Oh boy, it's going to be hard to hold
they'll probably
back.
find 4 or 5 more guys better than him.
Nick Cunningham from Monterey, California, driving the 2nd of our US sleds today in this 4-man race. Justin Olson, Johnny Quinn, and Dallas Robinson back on the back of this sled. And as you documented earlier, John Morgan, Corey Butner crashed in 4-man training, didn't get enough training runs in to be allowed to race the 4-man.
The 2nd night train sled. Cunningham's only got about 12 trips with it. Crashed last week in Winterberg with it. Start 5:07, very respectable, 51.7. Second best speed. So if he can get the night train, which is bronze, this was a bronze medal sled on the track last year. He has a chance to get in the top 7 or 8 with some good lines.
Same sled that won the Olympic gold medal back in Vancouver with Stephen Holcomb driving it.
4 down.
Wow, 400s. He's closing on the lead group.
It wasn't at a great line there into the first Nash and Dixon. Speed here. He's going to have to give a high line, which he brushed the top.
Beautiful exit.
+4 there. It's flying big speed.
110.
The track's getting faster. And this is going to be a big advantage. He keeps this thing straight. Oh, but he didn't right there. That curve is causing a lot of problems. Down that nameless curve.
Tidy it up, Cunningham. This could be 3rd spot. He stays away from the walls. 145.9. 90.7 miles an hour. Is he going to be 3rd at the line or 4th place? 3rd for Cunningham. What a run.
Wow, this track's faster, though. It sets up. It's unbelievable, though, that the first guy down on the race, Max Arndt, is now in 4th. I tell you, even though...
Listen. Way to go, Nick. No kidding.
Look at the speed. Wow, what a shot. And the crossover, he looks like he got late on that.
Beautiful.
And then when he was late there, then he came late, 2 curves later, did the tap on
Devil's Dyke. We saw a lot of that in the two-man race.
He came over at too much pressure in Telephone, too much pressure in Shamrock. But Nick, nice run. His best four-man run of the year right there.
Going to take a while to wipe the smile off their faces. Oskars Melbardis of Latvia leads by a whisker from Alexander Zubkov. Nick Cunningham in third. Olympic champion Stephen Holcomb in fifth. 17th of our 21 sleds is the Italian Simone Bertazzo, with Simone Fontana, Francesco Costa and William Frulani behind him as they all drop into the first kink.
This athlete, 50.6, look at that. They're a kilometer down in the start speed, which just relegates you to you just can't make that up. Well, anybody know, there's a Swiss sled coming up, Gregor Baumann. Anybody with any instinct knows that the track is getting faster, and take advantage of it. Somebody gets a good start, good lines, they could do what Nick Cunningham just did.
2/10 away from the fastest start of our leader, Oskars Melbardis, leaves them with a huge deficit. They're 4,200s back at Horseshoe. The gap is growing.
Look at the speed, though. This is what it is.
1:10.3.
He can eat into this. If he has some good lines down here, this is a very late there, too. Everybody's late.
Yeah, it's really rocky below Devil's Dyke unless you get it nailed precisely. Big skid down the straight is like putting out a parachute.
Yeah. Too bad, too. He had it going, that speed in the exit of Horseshoe, still 14th. You know, with that start deficiency, he had the worst start of the competition.
2/10 down at the start, but 8/10 down at the bottom.
Yeah,
so driving errors crept in there, didn't they?
Yeah, too bad, too, because the track is saying, hey, you guys running late, I got some good speed for you if you can exit Horseshoe with some good lines. And here's everybody just coming down out of this curve here, in the middle here. Now watch him late.
Falls off there, doesn't he?
So much pressure. And then he comes up here late. This is where
skids up the hill.
almost crashed. Hefty had problems there.
And that's the inside of a bobsled, bare carbon and steel, built for speed, not for comfort. Gregor Baumann of Switzerland sat out last year after a major tooth infection ruled him unfit for most of the season. Patrick Berklinger, Fabian Baljan and Simon Friedli behind him in this four-man sled. The only four-man he drove last year had wheels and a motor at the back.
Where we're seeing everybody have problems, that's where he crashed earlier in practice.
See if Baumann can find his mojo here. Best result of the season, 12th place in Lake Placid.
Running too far there. See him get down.
5:16.
Start speed, 51. Yep. Well, Baumann knows the track's got some speed in it.
Should have a shot at a top 10 finish.
He's got to keep everything up here perfectly straight. Let's see the exit here, wall. Good. Good train. Ooh, looked like a soft transition there. Looked like he went more into the middle of the second part of the snake into Sunny.
3/10 back in Sunny. Nick Cunningham was 3/10 back, a mile further down the track almost at the finish.
Low line there. Speed 38 down, speed 110, 109. No, he's a kilometer and a half down to the sled from Cunningham, which might say Cunningham had some good lines. We were saying he had a good track, and that's where he crashed. That's the spot where he crashed in practice.
You know that the guys in the back were counting the corners and just waiting, and when it all went weightless there, they were fearing the worst, but he hung on 144 kilometers an hour.
I really thought this Swiss sled would do better than this. I really did. So that tells you how good Cunningham did.
Oh, yeah, well, Cunningham knew. I mean, the guys in the back feel it, John. Baumann's crew will have felt their backsides off the sled, thinking they were going over. Cunningham's felt everything was so smooth, so silent. All they heard was wind noise. That's the difference.
Here it is. This is the fourth or fifth sled. We've shown this late, and now that wasn't too bad. But look at the sled nose down, and that has some centrifugal force. He's got to come back up, and the only guy that recovered quickly was Hefty. But when you recover quickly, you have to steer hard. When you steer hard, you erase time. It's so easy to sit up here and provide that critique.
That's why we're the best down the track. Jan Verber of the Czech Republic with Dominik Dvorak, Dominik Sushi, and Mikhail Vacek behind him. Made the cut in the two-man race. Best result of the season for them. 13th place in Lake Placid. Another track where the driver really has a huge part to play. And this Singer sled should be a quickie.
Yeah, Jan, don't drift like that. Don't drift like that again. Another mistake.
Don't look at the walls because they'll suck you in. Through the first kicks into snake 1 and snake 2. Easy to bleed away time in that quick little crossover as well.
Plus 30.
Well, this is about the same as we saw from Gregor Baumann of Switzerland at this stage. So again, we're in the 15 to 20 zone.
Not comfortable yet. Not bad. 46, 109. Oh, way off the pace. 108.9. Oh, he tapped on Devil's Dyke. Watch out here. Nice late. Not bad there. Oh, ooh, not bad. He's carving himself down the track very nicely, but when you carve like that, steer, just not fast.
Well, the same as skis. The more you steer, the slower you go compared to going straight. 144 kilometers an hour. And 19th place, the slowest of our sleds so far.
Well, he's got a chance. But there's 2 sleds coming up that could bump him. The French.
Yeah, that means he is alone in 19th place, and 1 sled won't get a second heat. So he might be in the danger zone.
A little late here in Shamrock. Devil's Dyke does that tap. Now he becomes late because he has to come in the middle part of this curve. He's late there. He's late in the next curve, the Nameless. Late, and then you have to steer to get yourself out of that problem. And it's so easy to make a mistake down there in that high speed of the track.
Swiss colors on this sled. This is a Singer sled that the French have rented for the weekend. They're looking at buying a new foreman. This might be it. Loic Kosteg with Roman Heinrich, Florent Ribet, and Elie Lefort.
Didn't like their 4-man sled that they'd used in the previous 5 World Cups. Cohesion, power. It's not a Mignon sled, you know, maybe, but
their old one was. No, this is potentially their new Singer 4-man.
51 flat, not bad considering he had the 19th start. So some good efficiencies in the sled for the athletes jumping in, getting down, and not altering the speed. There's a mistake on the Exeter wall, but he takes a good S curves of the snake. Nash and Dixon. Let's see if he can be quiet here. Can he come straight down the middle of the straightaway? Yes. High line.
Eases to the
Not
right
bad.
as he gets there.
Oh, he came out too early.
Has a hit.
Too early.
109.7. Now that's not bad speed though.
He's only got a couple trips with this sled, so it's late.
Oh.
Watch out, he got through there.
And it'll feel very different, I'm sure, to the Mijon sled. The steering won't react the same way.
Just got 2 practice trips. This is his first race
place.
trip.
He's ahead of Jan Verber. He's in the race at the moment. 20th place. He's behind Jan Verber. He's on the bubble. 20th spot.
So Jan Verber is in from the Czech Republic.
Yep, guaranteed a second heat, and the French will have to wait 1 more sled to see whether they will be in or out.
Well, considering he's only got 2 or 3 practice trips,
yeah,
not bad. You know, and it's, you know, there's a lot of Swiss sleds up here. You know, here's where he got a little impatient. Good high line, but the rudder tips, he probably started steering here. Now, look, he should be a little bit more patient. Take a little bit more ice. But, of course, the wall, that lip is looking at him. Look at the rudder tips. Now he dives out. Too much steering because when he crosses over, he hits the take-on before the curve. He doesn't allow himself to celebrate or accelerate. Back end of the sleds up in the air.
Well, again, he's probably steered the same as he would have done in his other sled, but there's more reaction maybe. The steering is so different in all of these sleds.
And how much steering mistake did he make? So minute, we couldn't even...
No, exactly.
We couldn't even figure it out, so...
Last of our sleds in the first heat. Battling now to get into the race for the second run is Nikolai Astrati of Romania. Let's see if these guys can make it in. They've got to beat the French sled down, so their bogey time is a 1:05.79.
Slowest start in the competition, and not the slowest start speed, but Romanian TV just started covering yesterday, 2-man Bob. They were covering again today. Good reports from some of the Romanian athletes I saw, coaches. They need the exposure in their country to pick up more sponsorship. And Astrati, very capable driver, probably driving the oldest sled in the field. And that's not good there.
Gets it straightened up before horseshoe.
Very, very, very costly. 109.2.
Out of the race at the moment.
Yeah, he hit that 2 spots in and out of. Watch out here. Ooh, that's a rough ride.
Now, if he can just tie the French sled, they will both go through, and we'll have 21 sleds in the top 20 in the second heat as well.
A real rough ride down here in the bottom part of the track.
This is going to be very close. 105.79 he needs. 105.76 he gets. The French are out, the Romanians are in.
Look at that. All those guys do. They do so much with so little. But that was not a good ride by Astrati. He's a much more experienced pilot than that. He made some real mistakes. Look how steep. It didn't show you how steep that is there. But here's a mistake coming late coming out of Dixon. Now, I mean, this is worth 2,500ths of a second. Look at the runner tips. And now he's going, oh, I better get this straight before the curve. Doesn't get up high because he's steering so much.
Well, they make the race for the second heat.
He'll be the first guy down?
He will be the first guy down. He's got an extra hour to think about it because the men's skeleton come up next. But the man who's got the longest to think about it is Oskars Melbardis of Latvia, the fastest starter, a new start record 5:02, and a new track record 1 minute 4.75. He leads by a tiny margin, just 0.04 of a second. We're in for a battle royal in the second and deciding heat of the 4-man bobsleigh World Cup in St. Moritz. Latvia leads Russia, the USA, Germany, and Switzerland. In the top 6, we have 7 sleds jammed together in the hunt for the medals. Well, there is how they finish here in this first of 2 heats in St. Moritz. The total time for the sleds down both trips will decide our winner. 400s between the top 2 after 1 mile of ice. How close will it be after 2 miles of ice? There's only one way to find out. Join John Morgan and me, Martin Haven, for the second run here in St. Moritz in the beautiful Engadin Valley.